Hi guys, welcome back to the sound design series. So today still we are going to be doing outside ambience, as we can see from our short movie. It's an outside ambient scene where our characters are in a petrol filling station, just general cars around, general traffic and ambience. So without further ado, let's get to it. As you know, I like to start with general ambience. Here's my traffic. EQ is very paramount in sound design, because that's how you push things closer or further ahead, nearby, and all of that. EQ is very paramount and is very useful for that case. Still fiddle with it. But you can really see me there cutting some of that mid bend, pushes the sound further. It's no longer in your face. So we're trying to create that general ambience for a place like this, for a scene like this. At this stage of my sound design, EQ really plays a vital role, because one, I'm not really using the right sounds. This is just me getting sounds that sound like, that are similar, and then hoping to fill the brain with some EQ and some layering. But that's all it is, EQ. So here's my second layer. As you can see, it can hear now, that's my second layer. I'm also going to EQ that, mask different frequencies, since it's going to be layered with that other one, to give you the perception that we are outside, we have people, we have traffic going on, but at a distance. Just going to play with my EQ again. So now what you're seeing, I now have two layers of pretty much the same thing, but that's what this is. It's layering, putting those two things so they sound similar. Without layering, your sound design is not really nice. So now that I have these two sounds, I'm just going to do this trick, pan them into left and right, so you can get that perception of direction. Because directionality is another thing when it comes to sound. Where are things coming from? Where are things going to? You see. Now that my layers are sitting together, I'm just going to group them for control purposes. A group channel helps you manage a lot of tracks, because now, as you can see, that's my general ambience track. I can now just play with the fader of that, instead of going to the individual track and setting the levels. Now that I'm happy with my general ambience, I'm now going to put the footsteps. We can see our characters just have basic movements from here to there, here to there. Just putting that up. Now that the ambience is there, we can now try and put in some footsteps. If you want to really get your footsteps right, you have to zoom in on scenes and frame by frame movement, so I can really get what's going on in each frame, what goes on in the frame. Slowly, as you can see, I'm slowly the frame by frame. That's when my character starts to move. Just throwing it and estimating it to never help, but going frame by frame now when it comes to things like that, nuances or small movements, you need that. And again, I'd say I'm using the wrong footsteps, but I'm over reliant on EQ. So again, I'll just EQ to taste. All of this is just to show you guys or just walk you through the thinking process behind what I do. And I'm not saying it's necessarily the right way or not, but it's things to consider. Things to consider when doing these kind of things, when doing sound design. As we can see there, I've managed to mess with the EQ to get a different sounding set of footsteps, which also to consider in a real life experience is to what surface are the footsteps emanating from. Is the character walking on gravel, on tar, on here? I'm just cheating using my EQ, but for the relevance of this tutorial, I do not think it matters if the footsteps are that or that, as long as you can see how you can go about getting your footsteps right. In a professional setting, they'll probably give you the right footsteps for you to use. You really have to break down the movement to a frame by frame basis when it comes to these movements. Now footsteps with the rest of the sound design, rest of the ambient, and the footsteps of our characters. You can hear it makes sense. It makes sense now. That is sound design for you. Also, rewatching your scenes over and over, sometimes it can be bad because you just get so immense, then you can't make the right call. But sometimes it helps you to see things which are off, especially when it comes to sound design. Your eyes can instantly tell you if something is off. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I'd like to think that's the case with everyone. When you see something wrong on TV, you immediately move to the next channel or just switch it off, because the visual, the audio visual part of things has to tie in together. Now that we have the footsteps, the ambient, we can put the car that passes by. We can now get to things like that. They also, a concept like layering comes into place heavy. Because as you can hear, my sound is something else. But I'm going to use some automation and some EQ and some layering just to get what I want from that sound. I want a car that's approaching and then it gets there, it kind of stops, but I will get all of that through the use of my automation curve. I'll just write it out to where I want it to end and where I want it to start, and then drop in another sound to just add more to the aggressiveness. It's too much of that. I'll just put that down and that down. That, yeah, just nudge it a bit because I want that approach, and rest after that I can use another sound, but I want that approach, that proximity. Still, I still need to nudge a whole lot of that. A lot more. I'll need to nudge a lot more than maybe there. Okay, sounds like something I like. Automating your volume curves is really essential. I cannot stress this enough. But I'm hoping with this tutorial you can see how essential that is. Now that we have the first sound, I've thrown in another one. It's another sound to layer on top of our initial sound. And I'm going to go back to my automation and get them sounds to set. With the layering right now, it's just to add to the aggression, because that's a sports car. It needs more balls and more raw, if you get what I mean. Still playing with my automation and still put layered also the other sound just to give it that rev, because it stops and then he revs. Yes, it makes sense. It looks, my eyes are full. My eyes are full, or my brain is full. Maybe I'm just a dummy, but the scene works like this. The scene works. It does what I needed to do as a sound editor. You can tell that the car has passed and it's revving. That is sound design, layering, volume automation, and I'll also place my cars in a group. I now want to be able to control all of them at one touch. With one fader, I'd like to control all the cars and all the footsteps and all of the background ambience. That's what the grouping helps with. But I hope that this tutorial helps you understand. Now we have a scene going. I'm just going to add more people, more ambience, and all of this is just purely up to taste, personal taste. This is how I feel like, or this is how my brain perceives this. So I'm just going to add more people, EQ them into the mix, and just tuck them in nicely. But all of this is still adds to the layering bit, because now I've layered almost 3 tracks of pretty much the same thing, but just to add more flair or more detail for the viewer to dissect. as we can see now, after watching it a couple of times, you can tell that the scene is coming to life. It's no longer dead. It's no longer a quiet scene. It now works. So in a scenario like this, I'm just thinking one of the dudes, since there's a whole lot of cars, one of the dudes might be playing some music. So I'll just throw in some music just for kicks. It's just for kicks. As the scene is right now, you could do a lot just to add more detail and add more flavor, more flair. But I think I'll just stop it here for the sake of this tutorial, not to make it unnecessarily long. But this is how you would go about it, using your EQ, using your automation, and just layering sounds together. Layering sounds to just make more sense. Please like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue making more tutorials like this. Comments and give me a shout. Let me know what you think. Thank you.